Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good night to everybody who was tuning in, checking us out. JV Wins, Dogon SS once again, right back in your ear. Conscious Approach on YouTube. Major shouts out to everybody who's been joining us along for the ride, subscribing to the channel, leaving those comments, hitting that like button. Thank you very much. And as well for the people who have been checking out our content and you despise us and can't stand our content. We appreciate you too, whether you realize it or not. Today is April the 29th. Thanks for coming out tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We certainly appreciate that. Before we get things kicked off, I want to say, as always, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. We are available in those areas for your audio fix. If you are not in position to check us out on YouTube, to check out the video. Also, we are now on TikTok. So you can also check out our video uploads and engage with our content on TikTok as well. Search for us there at Con Approach, CONAPPROACH, same spelling as the Instagram page. But yeah, man, just trying to be available any and every way possible. If this is your first time checking us out and you appreciate the content and the commentary, let us know. Leave a comment. Let us know where you think we went right or wrong. And if you are so inclined, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that like button so that we can let the YouTube algorithm know that we are producing the kind of content that people appreciate. And that's appreciate whether you agree or not. So just want to get a couple of those disclaimers out of the way before we go ahead and get things kicked off today. Got several interesting topics to talk about. I am anxious to hear what Dogon SS has to say about what we have on the docket. So let's go ahead and get right into it, man. First thing that we are going to discuss is the draft slide heard around the world with Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders, who at the conclusion of the 2024 college football season was a consensus top 5 pick and no worse than a second quarterback taken off the board, I believe, by most of these so-called experts who come up with all of these mock drafts and stuff. By the time the actual draft rolled around, the son of Deion Sanders did not get selected until the 5th round of the NFL draft, which is what, day 3, I think? I don't think he was picked until Sunday, I think. So there's 3 days of the draft that go by, and come day 3, I think they do rounds 4 and 5, I believe. And he was selected in the 5th round to the Cleveland Browns. And there's all sorts of theories on what happened. There's people hollering collusion. There's people, of course, they bring in race. There's people saying that there are forces at work that conspired to suppress his draft stock because of whatever reasons. And I guess we are going to give our opinions on that. A lot of talking heads in sports media are basically saying something nefarious took place here. And that is perhaps the only thing that can explain why someone as heralded as he could possibly have dropped that far down. So we'll provide a little color and context here before we get into how we feel about this. So this says Shedeur Sanders prank caller revealed as Falcons coordinator's son Jax Ulbrich. The mystery behind Shedeur Sanders' NFL draft prank call has finally been solved. On Sunday, the Atlanta Falcons confirmed that Jax Ulbrich, the 21-year-old son of Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich, was responsible for the call after he stumbled upon Sanders' draft phone number. So, of course, another thing that came out of the draft during this whole ordeal was there was a call placed to Shedeur Sanders' phone by someone who at the time was unknown, pretending to be a part of the New Orleans Saints and drafting Shedeur. Of course, it was later revealed that this was a prank. This is the individual who was behind that prank. He has since been publicly embarrassed and has issued a public apology to Shedeur. But this is yet another one of those things that came out of this whole draft fiasco. So this article goes on to read, the Falcons issued a statement acknowledging the situation and offering a formal apology to Sanders and his family. Alongside the team's apology, Jax Ulbrich posted a heartfelt public statement on Instagram expressing regret, both in a post and a story. On Friday night, I made a tremendous mistake. Shedeur, what I did was completely inexcusable, embarrassing, and shameful. I am deeply sorry for taking away from your moment. It was selfish and childish. The He added that he personally called Sanders to apologize and thanked him for accepting the call. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. The Falcons further clarified that Jax had discovered the number on an open iPad while visiting his parents. They emphasized that Jeff Ulbrich had no knowledge of either the leak or the prank until afterward. The Atlanta Falcons do not condone this behavior and have extended our sincere apologies to Shedeur Sanders and his family. The team's statement read, "We have been in direct contact with the Sanders family to offer support and facilitate an apology directly from Jax." So, of course, this link will be in the description of this video. That pretty much sums up every bit of context that we need to lay out before getting into this. So, yeah, Shedeur does not get drafted until the 5th round. Amidst all of that and the speculation as to the reasons why, he's pranked. So there's just a circus surrounding this entire situation. But what are your thoughts on this whole draft situation, period? Claims of collusion, all kinds of weird stuff going on. The fact that he slid and how much of an injustice it was. What are some of your thoughts with that?
Well, I think it's close to when we talked about the Kaepernick situation, where I basically said that GMs and these front offices, they don't want to deal with certain type of noise. At the end of the day, it's a job. There's no obligation to be in the NFL. The NFL don't need you. Just because you finish school and you're eligible for being drafted doesn't mean you have to be in the NFL. It is a job. So there's no right to play football. And the NFL treats their corporation like the job it is. And if you come into a job interview, because I heard all kinds of scallywags and some scuttlebutt about the stuff that he was saying during his interview process, or either his demeanor or some of the answers he gave. Now, I heard all of this kerfuffle before the actual draft itself. So when the actual draft came and then he slid, from there, I just put 1 and 2 together there. And I was just like, okay, well, this is Shedeur coming in there. Not air quote humble enough, not looking for a job. He feels like he's entitled to a job in this league. And if you want to walk around acting like you're entitled to be on our roster, we don't have to pick you. And so with his demeanor, I feel as though it was more or less one of the things that, nothing about his talent. I think it had everything to do with his demeanor and his approach to how he came about the whole interviewing process. So no, these teams don't have to draft you. You do not have to be in the NFL. I don't care how talented you are. At the end of the day, this is a job. And this ties into where homeboy from Captain America was talking about when he was talking to those guys on the pivot, and he was sitting there pointing to you guys. He was like, hey man, you guys were selected, more or less. And certain people get in positions because of them being selected. And it has nothing to do about talent. Somebody somewhere saw you and said, okay, yeah, you're better than that other guy that runs a 4-4, and we're going to give you the opportunity for whatever reasons. So again, so when you're dealing with these corporations, these leagues, and these situations like this, people have to really understand that you are going in for a job, even though it's a really high paying one. It's a job. And if everybody knows how they'll kick you out at Target, Walgreens, or CVS, the NFL can do the same damn thing to you. And especially even with these large contracts, they'll cut bait with your ass. And then air quote, collusion you or blackball you out the league. So they don't need you. And this was a prime example of the league exercising that muscle of saying, hey, bro, we don't need to do that. So for whatever reasons people want to, throw on top of that, I think that's the primary one, is that he came in guns blazing and not air quote humble enough. But what are your thoughts on Sir Shedeur slipping in the draft and or this guy over here setting up a whole prank? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, the prank was just sort of adding gasoline to the fire, right? That was let me poo-poo even further on this guy's moment, which has already been poo-pooed pretty decently.
Yeah.
The draft itself, I think with Shedeur, there were a couple things that happened at the same time, and they all amount to what I would call a perfect storm.
Mhm.
I think you follow college football pretty closely. Um, there has been ever since Deion Sanders arrived at Colorado, there has been a very there has been a very strong media following. Him being there has been something that has been chronicled by mainstream sports media ever since he arrived. You have College Game Day was showing up there, all of the celebrities showing up there. You got the Fox show was there. It was a big deal when he got there. There was a lot of media fanfare around it. And I think Deion Sanders has cultivated an image for himself as a very likable person by the mainstream sports media. I think his journey from being on television as a commentator to
Mhm.
being at an HBCU to then graduating to the point where he's at Colorado. These are all aspects of a feel good story coupled with his general likability that caused the media to gravitate towards him. There is an ardent effort on the part of the media, in my opinion, to paint Dion in a very positive light because of the HBCU angle. We're living in post George Floyd America, so the whole HBCU angle and that whole aspect of it played tremendously in his favor. And then the fact that he is very much involved in his son's lives, and he has two of his sons on the team, one of them being the starting quarterback, and he brought them with him from an HBCU. So all of that sort of comes together to formulate what I perceive to be a perfect storm in favor of the coverage of Colorado and Deion Sanders, ancillarily, therefore, the coverage of Shedeur and all of the players that were at Colorado. So
Mhm.
you have that going on, his Q rating, his likability, that being Deion. And now, in my opinion, and I have no data to back this up, but in my opinion, I believe that extreme likability factor on the part of the media fed into certain talent evaluators' perception of the quarterback. And I feel like there was a tendency on the part of those talent evaluators to maybe paint the idea that he is like a prohibited top two quarterback taken off the board no matter what.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that that's true or not true. I'm saying that the motivation for that could have possibly been the whole likability factor. And the reason why you're setting yourself up for something potentially to happen such as this is if the expectations for him being drafted fall short of that, now you can sort of paint the scenario that something was going on because you believed initially that it was undeniable that he was a top two quarterback in his draft class. So if that doesn't happen, there then there therefore must be a reason as to why it didn't happen because you were so sure of the fact that that would happen. So I kind of feel like all of that stuff kind of you throw it into a pot and you have what amounts to there must be controversy if those projections didn't end up being true on the back end, which they weren't. And there's outcry now because he should have been taken earlier than he was projected to, but there's definite reasons as to why he didn't. And I think that, ego, humility, quote unquote, plays a role in that. I certainly believe that to be true. But I also think that there's an outside chance that the talent evaluation in his regard may have been a bit skewed, influenced, at least in small part, by the extreme fanfare and likability for the program ever since Dion got there. To speak on the whole aspect of whether there are forces at work which created that outcome, I kind of agree with you when it comes to that. Like, people don't have to get on a Zoom or a phone call in order for there to be something that happens which would lead to an undesirable result. Um, I don't care whether it's the NFL. I don't care whether it's a banking firm. I don't care. I don't care whether it's a car dealership. Like, I don't care what your place of employment is. Management and employers don't want to deal with what they perceive to be a potentially problematic, troublesome individual as an employee. Uh, Power structures just don't want to deal with it, and they don't want to take the risk of having to deal with it. And when they perceive your talent to not be great enough, juxtaposed to the risk that they would incur by bringing you in there, then you're going to slide and they're not going to take you. Just like if you show up to the interview saying, how many vacation days do I got? There's a pretty decent chance that the hiring manager is going to consider other candidates before you. Because the one thing that you don't want to do as someone looking for a job is ask about all of the benefits and how much time off you get. You know, at least during the hiring process, you have to put on a front that you're 10 toes down and you're ready to dig into the dirt and work 24/7. That's what it means to be an employee, unfortunately. And even though they are high paid employees, professional athletes and NFL players are nevertheless employees. They are. And there is a tendency on the part of the media and fans alike to, due to how much money they make and how much fame and notoriety they receive as a result of their careers, perceive them to be someone who exists outside of the parameters of typical employment. And in most ways, they don't exist outside those parameters. If I am a job candidate on the streets trying to get a job somewhere and I'm interviewing, the last thing that I am going to do during that interview process is ask about benefits and how often I get a pay raise and and how often I can expect a bonus and how many vacation days I accrue and when's the first chance that I can get to take a break. People just don't want to hear that when they're hiring people. And I think for a lot of folks with this hugabaloo, to add to the words that you was throwing out there, for a lot of people in these positions of power with this hugabaloo about how he was conducting himself during the pre-draft process, the interviews, not performing at the combine, and all of this other stuff. There was a lot of that kind of sentiment. There was a lot of the equivalent of an NFL player showing up to a job interview and asking about benefits and time off and 401k instead of making it clear, I'm here to work 24/7. And that's what employers want to hear. I'm ready to work 24/7. Now, that is not to excuse or come to the NFL's defense per se. That is the nature, the reality of employment in fair market capitalistic society. And if you don't want to comply with that, you are going to have to seek other alternatives. But if you are going to willingly enter into this infrastructure, you are going to have to conform to these standards. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, fair or unfair, but no one is above this unless they're running their own ship. And even though these guys are millionaires, they don't run or own their own anything. They are employed by these various franchises. So I think that a lot of that was kind of going on at the same time, and it worked to his detriment. You know, you can't show up to the job interview asking about breaks and vacation time and 401k. You got to ease your way into that. Maybe once you get past that 90-day grace period, what do they call it? The 90 days. What's that word?
Probation.
Probation. Yeah, there you go. Once you get past that 90-day probationary period and they can't fire you without write-ups and just cause, maybe then at that point you can start inquiring about how much I can sit back and chill and take a load off. But you're not going to show up at the onset talking about what you deserve, what you're entitled to, what you're demanding, and who you are. And that should be enough for you because it's a privilege for you to bring me into your building. So I think that there was a coalescence of multiple factors going on at the same time. And at that point, there is indeed a conspiracy because in the truest sense of the word, there's multiple factors environmentally which are conspiring together to work against you. And that's what I think happened to him. So, you know, we can get into all of this other stuff, collusionary stuff or whatever. But at the end of the day, employees are whom they are. And the power structure and employers and management and presidents and CEOs also are what they are. If you are going to enter into that infrastructure and ask for them to pay you handsomely, you are going to have to do it on their terms because they run it and you don't.
Yeah, man. And if there is, if there is any type of collusion, it's a collusion. It's a collusion in thought, in a situation of they all these owners think the same way.
Correct.
So they didn't even have to have conversations. You know what? We're gonna let them slide 5 rounds. It's like no, they all think the same.
Exactly. That's why I said, they don't have to get on a Zoom call
Mm-hmm.
to discuss this.
Mm-hmm.
They harbor the same mentality. So
Right.
it's almost like a brain trust,
Mm-hmm.
where it's a hive mentality. They're all going to internalize that information similarly. So there doesn't have to be all outright collusion. The result is going to be what the result is going to be.
Yeah, man. And I've heard all kinds of questions that come from this draft process. They ask some stuff that the players go, on some DJ Vlad stuff, like, how do you know that? Who told you that? You know, I was watching clips of Delaney Walker. He used to play for San Francisco and the Titans. And he said during the draft process, man, they said, are you a part of a gang? And then because they saw the tattoo on his neck or something. It had some, and he was like, oh no, he knows people that are in the gang. It was like, okay, well, they're just making sure, you know. And so when these I think Lamar Odom too, I think he also mentioned something like during his process, they had asked him some off the wall stuff like, hey man, how y'all know that about me, kind of thing. And I say that to say that when Shedeur's coming in there, and as you mentioned, he's a social media sensation. All right, everybody knows his name at this point. His YouTube channel, they're vlogging their football experience. All right, millions of views, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, followers, and all of that good stuff. So this guy, he comes in with a lights, camera, action going on. All right, I'm pretty sure he was in there with his bust down AP on his wrists. Okay. So it's just like, hey man, I make more money than everybody in this room anyway, kind of attitude, and they don't want to see that, you know. And so I'm pretty sure while they were sitting there asking him their questions or whatever, he was probably being dismissive in a situation of, hey, look, man, I come from millions. I made my own millions. I know I'm good enough to be in this league. I know I'm good enough to start in this league. I'm already on my way to millions. If you don't like me because of who I am and what I'm associated with, all that energy. And so with all of that energy coming in with these people that are already looking sideways, it can go sideways. And so, if there is a collusion going on, I hear Stephen A. Smith saying things, all this stuff.
It was the usual suspects. Yeah. The usual suspects went collusion and race. Stephen A. Smith, Ryan Clark. Yeah, it's the typical people who are going to take it there.
Yeah, man. But if it is collusion and all that other good stuff, all right, it's because you're dealing with owners, so they're going to be that way. They've always been that way. The NFL is trying to maintain its stronghold on the people in the field, literally and figuratively. So if anybody comes in there acting like they're bigger than the program, we're going to show you who's really on top. And so I think that's what we pretty much witnessed there. But I hope he gets a fair shake while he's out there. I hate that Dylan Gabriel. People hate on Dylan Gabriel. I like Dylan Gabriel, but I hate that they're on the same roster that they have to compete against each other. But I'm wishing the best for Shedeur. I was pretty much 50-50 on a guy. Hell of a college quarterback, but he played in the air raid system, so I don't know how that translates to actual what goes on Sundays when you don't have good protection like he didn't have in Colorado. Will you be able to get up from that hit? It's a lot going on with Shedeur, but I do feel as though that he would have went sooner had none of the stuff that we already spoke on. So best of luck to that guy, man. Wish him the best.
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to pan out either, and I'm not a talent evaluator, so I don't know how accurate his pre-draft projections were compared to what ended up happening to him. I'm
Mhm.
fairly certain he wasn't a fifth round caliber talent, but I also don't know whether he was a first or second round caliber talent either. I'm not sure.
I gave him second round
You
for
gave me
sure.
okay, yeah. I honestly don't know because of all of that stuff that you just mentioned about the offense and who he played against. That
Mhm.
I'm just not sure exactly how it translates. I do believe, however, that there is an extreme likability factor surrounding Deion Sanders specifically. There's a lot of media fanfare. And I do know that a lot of these talent evaluators and these draft experts are human at the end of the day. And they are going to gravitate towards what they like and what makes them feel good and what they believe is a great feel good story. And I think that Shedeur's top two quarterback on the board pre-draft projection may have been a result of that. I'm just throwing that out there. And then, the last thing that I'll say is, with respect to, power structures. Yeah, the NFL is a cabal. We talk about this all the time. Power structures are not in the business of seeding power. They are in the business of making more money and gaining more power. They are not in the business of seeding power. So this notion of collusion, you're 100% correct. These individuals do not physically have to meet in some room to say, let's make sure we suppress his draft stock. Like,
Correct.
all people in positions of ownership in business think the same when it comes to labor. And if they perceive someone to be troublesome as labor, they are going to internalize that stimuli the same way, which is we are going to take some of the air out of his momentum and render him more humble than he otherwise would be so that he can be the type of employee from a character standpoint who can get down or lay down. And I don't think that that's a race issue. I think that that's a labor versus management issue. Now, oftentimes it just so happens that labor and management falls along racial lines, but that's the rest of the world. That's in every area of business and industry. That's what you're going to see. But I think that that's optically the way it looks. I think in terms of practice, I don't really look at that as anything other than that's a management and labor issue. If you want now, here's what I will say. And you mentioned this before. I forget the subject that we were talking about, but we were talking about college football, and you made a very good point, which I agree with, which is if if you really want to deflate the balloon in terms of the power that like the power fives and the traditional conferences have in college football, then there needs to be a shifting in the direction of the talent. And all of the marquee big time black players should just stop going to power fives and all attend HBCUs. And I agree with that because that would fundamentally shift the power dynamics in college football. And it would move things away from these power fives and how much leverage they have because they always get the best players. But no one is willing to take it there because despite how much talk there is about how uneven and unjust college football can be from time to time, people nevertheless still want to be a part of the Power Five apparatus because you enjoy the resources, you enjoy the benefits, you enjoy the notoriety, you enjoy the money, you enjoy being a beneficiary of all of that. And they're the ones who are most equipped to offer it. So you ain't gonna go nowhere, despite how much you complain about it. And I view the NFL the same way. Like if you really want to create an environment in which a cabal such as the NFL has to consider ceding some of its power, then Shedeur should just go to the CFL. Like, start going to the CFL, start doing XFL, like, take the talent elsewhere. Not because those leagues are inherently better, but because if you take the talent elsewhere, the NFL is going to have to consider various ways to get the talent back into the door, even if that means ceding some of its power in the process. But no one's willing to do that because the NFL is the show, right? The NFL is the end all to be all. It's the
Mhm.
biggest stage. It's where you can get the biggest contract. It's where you can get the most endorsements. It's where you get the most notoriety. It's the biggest stage. So even though there's constant complaint over the inherent inequities in the NFL, no one's going to take those necessary measures. You're still going to go anyway. And as long as you're still going to go anyway, they will still retain all the leverage in the world. And when they have that leverage, they can do stuff like this, free of any perceived consequences. They'll create an environment without getting on a single meeting, plummeting your draft stock. And there's nothing that you can do about it because you're going to go anyway. So I say good luck to Shedeur, but it's a cautionary. This is yet another example. It's an exemplification of the power struggle between labor and ownership, and how at the end of the day, ownership is going to retain as much of its leverage as possible. It's never going to cede its power. And like you, I agree, labor always internalizes troublesome. I mean, management always internalizes troublesome labor as just that, troublesome. And whenever they perceive you to be troublesome labor, they are either going to figure out ways to make you less troublesome, or they are going to just not deal with you entirely.
Yeah, man. So I agree. So if people want to just, if you're gonna show up at this person's house and ask them to come inside, if if they just say, take your shoes off, take your hat off, just take your shoes off and take your hat off, man. You wanted to go in there because you know how much money in there, how much this and that. You wanted to go in there, so just do that. Fight the good fight another way. Fight the good fight, of I'm being me, or up and down, no matter where I go. I ain't gonna never switch up who I am, and then, it's like, hey man, but you're going into a situation, you're going to a place where they're requiring this. So, yeah, man, this was just a valuable lesson, I would say, for Sir Shedeur. I don't think this is going to make him fly low. I think he's going to continue to be him. But yeah, man, you never want to tell nobody because it's not selling out. It's not doing any of those weird things. This is a weird dynamic we got going on in the United States, man. And you need some income around here. And you don't have to acquiesce to these things. You can do your own thing. That's fine. But that's fighting the good fight another way. But in the meantime, if you need capital to get that, whatever you need to do later on your fighting the good fight thing later, that's fine. Just take your shoes off, take your hat off when you come into these people. Now, everybody got a line. I got a line. Certain jobs wanted me to cut my hair. I wasn't going to do that. So I just left, Certain other jobs wanted me to do X, Y, and Z. I was like, well, I'm not doing that either. I'm no cornball. But if another job came, but if a job was being reasonable with, about whatever the hell, tucking my shirt in or whatever, even though I may feel some type of way about it, I did what I had to do to get the paycheck, to fight the good fight another way. So if the only thing you got to do is during the draft process or the interview process or whatever is ain't nobody say yes sir, no sir, that weird stuff, man. You ain't got to do all that. It's just like, hey man, just understand what's going on. Peep the room, understand, gather the temperature of the room, and then treat yourself accordingly, man. But if you just come in there guns blazing, I am who I am, deal with it, and you're asking them for favors after that, most likely you're not going to get what you want. So I think all of this situation, man, is an interesting dynamic. But I agree with you, bro. I think it's a lot more swirling around this situation. It's a concert of things more than just one direct, whatever,
Yeah, I wish him the best of luck. He definitely has a good pedigree. He comes from a good pedigree. Yeah. He definitely comes from a good pedigree. So I wish the best for him. But yeah, this to me is a labor management dynamic, and 9 times out of 10, labor just doesn't have the leverage. I don't care how many collective bargaining agreements get used or conjured up to try and give more power to labor. At the end of the day, labor is still labor, and the players are labor, and management and ownership are management and ownership. And if you want some of that power dynamic to be, moved around, I would say take the talent elsewhere. Who's going to have the guts to make that move and sacrifice millions in the process? Who knows? But thus far, we haven't had someone step up to the plate to do that yet. There isn't a single lottery pick or first round pick who says, you know what, I don't like the way the NFL does business. I'm taking my talents to the CFL. All it is complaining, they still go to the league anyway. So at the end of the day, what do you really have to complain about? You're going to comply with all of their demands. So
Cold world, man.
it really is, man. Hey, look, good luck,
Ferrari, bro.
Yeah, the good news for him is, yeah, he's already a millionaire, so he doesn't need the money necessarily. So yeah, if he does determine that he wants to fight the good fight another way, he's not going to have to rely on someone else's check in order to do that. He's already got his own checks, so at least he's in that position. But otherwise, bro, as cool as you are and as many social media followers as you have, sir, you are still an employee in the NFL. You're still labor. Yeah. Shouts out to Marcus Dudley as always on the chat, bro. Shouts out to Fat Even also on the track. Fat Even says Shedeur Sanders needs to sue the NFL. Yeah, good luck with that. And shouts out to AVJ also on the chat, man. Shouts out to y'all. Appreciate it.
Beautiful.
All right, and moving on, we have Ari Lennox. Ari Lennox, musical artist. I believe she's a R&B artist. I think she's like a songstress, and she went viral for comments that she made saying that she attempted to date women, but it just wasn't for her. So she attempted to dipple and dabble. She attempted to meddle in the flowers, but she discovered that meddling in the flowers wasn't for her. And so she went back to doing what she knows best, which is dating men. So this says Ari Lennox admits to trying to date women, but says it's not for her. Ari Lennox recently opened up about her brief exploration of dating women, admitting the experience left her feeling uneasy and uncertain. During a candid live stream, the 34-year-old R&B singer was asked if she would ever consider a relationship with another woman. Her response was refreshingly honest. Lennox revealed she had given it a try earlier this year, but quickly realized it was not the right path for her. I tried for like 1 second getting to know this person. Then it got weird, and I just felt insecure. Her experience, her experience, though brief, offered clarity. Lennox explained that understanding women beyond friendship proved far more complicated than she expected. She confessed that she struggles to understand herself most days, making the complexity of dating women even more daunting. After her short-lived foray into same-sex dating, Lennox decided to return to what feels more familiar, dating men. Yet her remarks reflected deeper themes of vulnerability, self-awareness, and the unpredictable nature of human connection. The Washington, D.C. native celebrated her. Okay, so that is additional information. So I believe we have some sound here of Miss Lennox talking about her experience with women.
Hysterical.
Quasimodo says, would you still give dating a woman a shot? No thirsty. Yes, thirsty. No. I tried for like 1 second, like getting to know this person this year, and then it was like weird, and then I just felt like insecure, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I feel like guys, it's already a lot. Let me just stick to what I know. I feel like women, it's like hard. I don't understand them.
Oh.
You know, I don't even understand myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that is some self-awareness if I ever heard.
Yeah, so what do you think about that, man? She doesn't, and she used herself as an example. She knows how crazy, how weird and crazy she is, and so why would you want to double dip on that? But She realized it wasn't for her, man. She went back to dudes.
Well, I mean, I think that and I hear that a lot, man. I don't know if it's my algorithm on TikTok or not, man, but it'd be videos coming in where there was I had one today, and this one was of the bunny persuasion, and she was still running around saying, "Look, man, I gave it a try. I did this for 6 years. It's trash." She said, "Women are crazy." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, all right, yeah, I can dig that." She was like, just running down the list of how unrealistic, not knowing what they want, and all that good jazz. And so this girl here with the capery talking about something for 1 second. What that mean? You know what I'm saying? Quantify that for me. What 1 second mean? Get out here with that. To me, I think she tried the situation. Box was probably a little too salty, too tart. Something was about this where she was like, and then she started having guilt. And then that's where the insecurity came in of, I'm not really about this. And it's like, no, you're not. And they make it seem so trendy. Like, hey, give it a try, girls, hey, girl power and all this other stuff, man. But it's kind of like one of those situations, bro. There was an episode of Martin back in the day where Cole and Tommy moved into the house, and they've been boys for years, but he never really saw how nasty and how crazy Cole and Tommy could really be until they was actually up in his house, clipping toenails, in the living room.
Yeah.
And so when these girls talk about, oh yeah, girl, girl this, girl empowerment, yeah, sister, yeah, sis, and all this other stuff, clock and tea, whatever they be talking about, and they just love each other so much, and they just figured that, yeah, girl on girl, why not? Until they actually get in each other's quarters and see what's going on and see what we got to deal with in the foxhole, and they don't like it. Yeah, they don't like it. They cut bait, and they just whatever. So I see a lot of stuff. Again, I don't know if it's on my algorithm or not. Must be, because I sit there and I watch these girls. But even the stud girls, man, because they be complaining about how these girls is trifling, how they playing the fence, playing both sides. They're not really about this life. They got all that stuff going on. So honestly, for this Ari Lexington young lady, say that she gave it a try, and didn't care for it. I think that's the testimony from a lot of women. So join the club, okay? But don't go with the capery. Just say you did it. That 1 second stuff, I'm not buying it. But what are your thoughts, man, on Ari Lennox running around here saying that, hey, man, she gave Box a try for 1 second and didn't care for much? What are your thoughts, bro?
I'm glad she came home. I'm glad she returned to where she belongs.
And honestly, bro, let me just say this, we welcome you back. We welcome y'all back. That's not one of those situations where we abandon you all.
So, yeah, right.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, this pleased me because as a heterosexual, ooh, yeah, I know I'm sick.
Crazy.
I've always found myself disappointed whenever I see an attractive woman who has jumped the fence. Now, that's not to diminish people who are of the same sex variety. It is just to say that as a heterosexual man who prefers women, it's disappointing to see attractive women who don't like men. It's just disappointing. It's just the way it is. So this pleased me because it was a woman who is not bad looking saying, I'm going back home. That made me happy. Furthermore, you will never hear a man talk like this. You never hear men talk like this, which provides further confirmation to my belief, the belief that I have always held, which is if I am to buy into the idea that there is indeed a such thing as sexual fluidity, and again, I'm not saying I do buy that. I'm saying if I am to buy that such a thing exists, I am going to buy that it only exists with women. I just don't. I don't believe that such a thing exists with men. I think as a man, you're 10 toes down one side or the other. There is no jumping back and forth fluid type stuff, in my opinion.
Oh no, dog! There's some fluid dudes out there, man.
It is, but I don't really consider that fluid. I consider that
that's 10 toes down on the other side.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I consider that firmly 10 toes down on the other side. Women make decisions to do this, like women make business decisions. Like they still have a sexual attraction to men, but they make calculated business decisions. Mm-hmm. Well, with women, I might get this and this, and I don't have to deal with this and this so much with men. So let me just give this a try. It's a conscientious, calculated measure that women make oftentimes, I have found. And in seeing that, I've always surmised that such a thing isn't an innate orientation, not when you can just make a conscious decision like that. So I do believe that there is a difference. And I do believe, once again, that such fluidity only exists with women. But it takes me back to one of the central beliefs I've always maintained, and this isn't rocket science, but men and women, we just aren't the same. Yeah. We're not the same. We're not built. We are the same species of animal, but we are not the same human. We are the same species of animal, being that we're both human beings, but we are, within the scope of that, completely different species of human beings. Men and women just are not the same. And I think that women can oscillate back and forth because whatever chemical composition makes up how they formulate their identities on that kind of a level allows them to oscillate and make those kinds of concerted, calculated efforts. And then they can just make the decision to jump back and forth. I don't believe men can do that for the most part. And I think the men who do that aren't really being truthful. They're kind of lying, and they're actually 10 toes down on the other side. Again, that is just my opinion. That's just my 2 cents. I can be wrong on that, but anecdotally, that is what I have perceived. Generally speaking, guys are in one pool or they're in the other, versus women who seem to just be in the jacuzzi 1 minute and then in the beach the next minute and then in the pool the next minute. And then at any given moment, they can just decide to jump back into the jacuzzi or the pool or the beach. But for her purposes, I'm glad to see she came home. I'm glad to see that she returned to where she belongs. You can go wayward here and there for a while. That's okay. Self-discovery, life paths, all of that good stuff. But eventually, inevitably, you come back to where you belong. So I'm glad to see she came back to where she belongs.
Yeah, man. And I think that's why. That oscillation happens because, we welcome him back. We welcome him back. But I think that's just also part of us understanding on a deeper level oscillation, maybe. Who knows? But women don't play that, man. In generally, they don't play that. If they know that guys be, taking the Hershey Highway, they be like, hey man, I'm not down with that. So if they find out you do that and you dabble with that, they're immediately turned off. So, but guys on the other hand, if it's like, hey, if you're dealing with a girl, it's like, yeah, one time when I was in college, she tell you this story, and it's like, oh, who cares, man? Yeah, that's pretty much how guys do it. Who gives a damn, But let a guy say that to a woman. One time when I was in college, boy, yeah, bro, he's getting the act. So I agree with you, bro. And and I think part of I think there's just an understanding from guys universally. Of course, generally speaking, I know there's guys out there that don't play that, I'm sure. But I think most of us just go, hey, man, it's whatever, dude.
I think we all understand. Like, we can't really articulate it, but I think all of us, and I think I include women in this as well, collectively. I think even though we can't effectively, like you see what I just fumbled through that. I called it whatever chemical composition. Like I even fumbled my way through trying to explain this. But so we can't really articulate it all that well, but we all collectively understand. Well, those of us who are balanced, at least, I feel like we all understand men and women just aren't the same.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
simply put, we just are not the same. And so inherently, I think all of those things are fundamentally different between the two of us.
Yes.
Orientations, chemical makeups, brain patterns, all of that, we're not the same. And I've said it before and I'll say it here again. One of the greatest tricks that the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that men and women are the same. It's just we're not the same. And so you can hear her talk like this, and I think conceivably for us it makes some sense on a basic elementary level, because there's that gear that allows us to know, well, that kind of makes sense, because whatever women's makeup is compositionally, sort of, it allows for them to be able to do something like that. Whereas for us, I don't really see it. And that's not to say that I'm not trying to suggest that it's right to have that makeup or not. I'm just saying that's the way we are. We're built. Yeah. So yeah, we're just not the same.
Yeah, and because I've known women that are like on the fence with it, kind of play with it, and then may or may not have, I know those women. And I also know women that were like very much know and very much offended. And they don't oscillate, and so it's a spectrum with that. But I think at the end of the day, even I think there's this whole universal thing of, hey man, welcome back home if you decide to switch over, But yeah, guys, it's really, for me at least, it's ASMR listening to these women complain about women and literally echo everything we've been saying. All right, and we get called toxic for. Yeah. I think it's absolutely hilarious, and yeah, man, I find that very soothing. It kind of puts me to sleep sometimes, man. Very comforting. But yeah, man, shout out to Lennox, man. Welcome back to the crib. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy out there, and I think you're in the right state of mind when you want what's opposite of you. I think that's how things are supposed to roll, man. So welcome back.
Yeah, some call that balance. I know it's a crazy notion, but who are we, right, to talk about balance? I remember when Candace Parker got with this woman. I was so disappointed. Because Candace Parker to me is an attract. I like Candace Parker. I think Candace Parker is a very attractive woman, and she was married to a man and had a family and all of that. Gets divorced, and now she's dating this woman, and I'm like, wow, we lost a good one. Yeah. But I hold out hope. That she can come on back home. But it's just always disappointing, man, to see that. Another one that I remember growing up, I had a crush on Sue Bird. I always thought that Sue Bird was just the cutest chick. She likes women. It's always like, another one got away.
What did you think of Brittany Grinder? Man, I saw bruh shirtless at a pool. I was like, hold up, man. Hold up, what's going on here, man?
Look, all right, we're gonna go ahead and move on. I ain't trying to get kids. I ain't trying to love it, man. I don't want our channel to get canceled. But as far as I'm concerned, Brittany Griner, that is never mind.
Yeah, bro.
I ain't gonna say it. I'm not gonna
be
say
the bad guy, bro. Damn.
Hey, look, welcome back, Ari Lennox. Come on, and Candace Parker and the rest of y'all. Y'all ever decide y'all want to come on home? Come on home.
Yeah, man. Hell no.
Yeah, and we have an update on the ongoing saga involving the Diddler.
Unbelievable.
The Diddler Fiddler. So Diddy's trial, and I mean that literally, diddler fiddler.
Yeah.
Diddy's Diddy's trial set to begin on May the 12th, and his defense team has a uphill battle to say the least.
Hmm.
And they are coming up with ways to sort of formulate his defense and see to it that they can minimize the damage in light of the charges that he is facing. And part of that defense involves positioning him as a swinger. So, for anyone who does not know, I believe the is it the feds or the state? Um, there was a plea offer issued to him, which was rejected. And part of the talking points that came out of him rejecting the plea deal was he's going to just take it to trial and fight it. And one of the weird things that came out of that was this declaration that he's a swinger. And this is something that swingers do. This is a part of swinger culture. So this says Diddy claims he's a swinger as he rejects plea deal. Diddy has claimed that he is simply a swinger and not a sex criminal as he opts to reject a plea deal from prosecutors. In a hearing just weeks before the Bad Boy Records founder's sex trafficking trial is due to begin, it was revealed that Diddy had previously been offered a plea deal by the government. During the hearing, Judge Arun Subramanian was asked by prosecutors to check with Diddy if he understood the terms of the offered plea deal on the record. The judge said that he would address the plea deal at a future hearing on May 1st. The terms of the plea deal are currently unknown, and Diddy and his legal team are yet to comment on their decision to reject it. Diddy has also defended his alleged behavior as being part of the swinger lifestyle. During the wide-ranging hearing, Diddy's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, said, "There's a lifestyle, call it swingers or whatever you will, that he thought was appropriate because it was common. Many people think it's appropriate because it's common." Prosecutors also lobbied the judge to allow them to use the testimony of an alleged victim who claims they underwent a medical procedure that has a connection to the allegations. Prosecutors did not reveal the nature of the procedure, and the judge has not yet ruled on whether their testimony will be allowed. The judge was also asked by prosecutors to allow a sex tape involving Diddy to be used as evidence in the trial, but that the video not be shown to the public due to its extreme sensitive nature. Diddy also took a big loss in the hearing as the judge ruled that the prosecution can use the security footage of the mogul assaulting Cassie in a hotel corridor as evidence. Diddy and his team have been attempting to cast doubt on the authenticity of the video, even though the rapper and producer previously apologized for this conduct in the clip. So again, let me repeat that. The terms of the plea deal are currently unknown, and Diddy and his legal team are yet to comment on their decision to reject it. Diddy has also defended his alleged behavior as being part of the swinger lifestyle. There's a lifestyle called the swingers or whatever you will that he thought was appropriate because it was common. Many people think it's appropriate because it's common. So they're suggesting with a straight face that what went on here was not improper because he lives a swinger's lifestyle. What do you think about that?
You know, I think his defense, his lawyers, man, I think they're just grasping at straws, bro. I mean, where else can you go to try to justify the freak offs in general? And even then, if you want to give him the swinger thing, which is whatever, there's so many of the allegations that are outside of the actual parties itself. You know, there's the whole, you know, extortion stuff that he does when it comes to, you know, if you want to be on, you got to do this, or, you know, just straight up grape. It's not even at a party. You know, those allegations are out there. So, I mean, I get it. You know, the swinger stuff can justify the things that's going on in the tape, you know. So yeah, man, if he's into, you know, you know, you know what I'm saying, proclivities, you know what I'm saying, gerbils in certain areas, that's fine and dandy, bro, because that goes on in certain circles. so long as it's consenting adults, but if you had to get somebody in the mood by squirting baby oil on them, I'm pretty sure the tapes can show that. Or if there's certain drinks that you're handing somebody and they're now in a different state of mind after one drink, I'm pretty sure tapes can also reveal that. So there's so many things that that are swirling around with these allegations that are just beyond actual swinger lifestyle. So, but again, as a lawyer, what ground do you have to stand on when dealing with these levels of allegations? You know what I'm saying? So they don't really have much to land on. So I understand this. I understand this argument, but to deny the plea, that's some wild stuff, man. But hey, he's innocent until proven guilty. All right, gotta say that. So, so if he feels he's innocent, so be it, man. But I don't think that's a strong enough statement to alleviate himself from the alleged evidence that's supposed to be hitting during these trials. But what are your thoughts, man, on Diddy's lawyers basically saying that, hey, man, he was just living a swinger's lifestyle. So that explains why he was doing it, because it was so common. He didn't think he was doing anything wrong. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, that's a reach. It's a reach. They're circling the drain. They are circling the drain for sure. This is a co-op. This is co-opting. This is bad faith acting. This is the sexual degeneracy equivalent of somebody unaliving somebody, knowingly, willfully, of sound mind, and then going to court and attempting to argue that they're legally insane. It's circling. They're circling the drain. This is, Neo saying I'm in a polyamorous relationship when really what he's doing is running a harem. And what he's doing is he's giving a bad name to people who actually do polyamorous relationships the way that it's supposed to be done by definition. I'm pretty sure there's people out there who are swingers for real who are saying, hey, listen, don't associate me with this guy. Don't associate what we do with this type of behavior. He is co-opting in bad faith what being a swinger is actually all about. These are serious charges, and we don't want the word or term swinger being even tangentially associated with this kind of behavior, because that's not what we're about. Because what ends up happening as a result is now there is a microscope. Like let's say in a hypothetical, parallel universe, that they are successful in convincing the jury, so to speak, that this falls within the parameters of swinging. Mm-hmm. Now you're placing you're placing a very judicious microscope around the idea of swinging in general and anyone who claims to participate in it. Because now they're going to have to deal with whether they do swinging or whether they do the diddler version of swinging. So I would imagine a lot of people who indulge in that kind of alternative lifestyle are feeling some type of way about the fact that they practice it legitimately, and now they have to deal with that kind of collateral backlash, potentially, of being with having their lifestyle associated with a degenerate like this guy. And attempting to co-opt swinging with his behavior is giving a real bad name to legitimate swingers everywhere. No different than Neo giving a bad name to legitimate polys everywhere. Because Neo's running a harem. A polyamorous relationship is everybody can do what they do as long as everyone knows about it and agrees with it. But what he has going on is I'm running a harem and I'm the only man at the top. So there are no other men in this equation but me. That's not actually polyamorous. If I am to take the definition of polyamorous seriously, that's not polyamorous. That's Neo's harem. That's what that is. So, for the sake of legitimate swingers everywhere, um, I will say I don't think this is going to wash. It's a reach, as you intimated. They're circling the drain because this guy is facing an uphill battle of epic proportions. And it really is annoying when people, when faced with desperation, attempt to do this and discredit people who actually live some form of a lifestyle legitimately. Because now swingers are going to have to deal with that kind of stain, I would imagine. Now I'm personally not involved in such an alternative lifestyle, nor do I have a desire to be. But no one wants their lifestyle to be co-opted by a bad faith actor who's looking to sidestep prosecution or just looking to have their degenerate behavior legitimized in any particular way. And that's what we don't need to happen. So, for the sake of making sure that we place sexual degeneracy in the appropriate judgmental bucket that it deserves to be in, I don't believe that this will happen. And I'm not sitting here defending swingers in any kind of way. It's an alternative lifestyle that's not necessarily for me. But just like poly people, I'm not poly either. But I do know that there's people who do poly the poly way. And I'm pretty sure there's people who do swinging the swinging way. And they
Yeah.
don't want their swingers lifestyle co-opted by this kind of degeneracy. So for the sake of those folks, I don't think you have much to worry about because this is desperation at its finest. They're circling the drain, and before long, they're going to go down that drain.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's definitely swingers out here. I've heard of parties. I want to say when I was in Tallahassee. Well, those are frat houses, but also like actual ones that was outside of like frat houses and stuff. I've heard of those. I know for sure there's some booty clapping sessions going on in Atlanta. I know infamously they have those there. So yeah, there's people out there that live swinger lifestyles and they go to these sessions and there's all kinds of clapping going on.
Sessions.
Yeah, man, they go to these sessions, bro, and there's all kinds of clap action. And so so I know people that out there really do that, and here they come just delivering my mail the very next day. You know what I'm saying? So there's people out there that live that life. But yeah, I don't know which ones that he attend. I don't know what how common the ones that he went to that was so common where everybody was doing that. Is it these other Hollywood freak offs that this was common and this was just commonplace and you just was groomed into this yourself? You just didn't know that this was wrong behavior because everybody in the industry was living like this. Is that where you're getting at? Because if that is where he's getting at, then he's going the snitching route. I don't know if he's actually going to explain what he saw, where he saw it at, who he saw doing it, to let him think that everybody in the industry is supposed to behave this way. But that'll be an angle to play with this outside of normal orgies. Normal freak offs. All right. So if you want to call anything normal when it comes to freak offs, but I think once you start introducing livestock, livestock, all right, and other things that the dit lives into, who knows, bro? It goes left. So yeah, man. Overall, I think that this guy and this trial, this is going to get dragged out. We're going to be hearing about this guy for a while. This is going to take. I think this is going to be like some 1-2 year, because they keep pushing dates back. They keep this and that. So I think that this is going to be a long drawn out situation, and he plans on fighting this. It looks like he plans on fighting this, no matter how dumb it sounds. Nobody's buying it, and because again, and when we talked about this the first time, it was one of those situations where everybody knew he was up to some weird behavior for the last 30 years. Like everybody knew it, So now when it's come out that it's actually legal and stuff and real allegations attached to what everybody kind of already knew, it's going to be hard to beat that public perception. So he's going to be fighting tooth and nail, and he's going to come up with more rigmarole, more trash. But I'm not personally buying it. Of course, he's innocent until proven guilty. But me personally, I think that I don't know who he's trying to play, but he ain't playing me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. You know, to the real, to the real, to the real swingers out there, you know, I stand with you in solidarity. I stand with you in solidarity in spirit.
Nah,
From
somebody clip that, man.
Yeah, I
Somebody.
know. from from the standpoint that I feel you in I can understand rather your desire to not allow your lifestyle to be co-opted with excusing someone's sexual degeneracy. And sexual degeneracy needs to be called out. Sexual deviancy needs to be called out. It's one of the things plaguing our society, and any of the agents who perpetuate sexual degeneracy need to be called out for what they are, which is sexual degenerates, not given a sugar coating label of being a swinger or being polyamorous. That's not what you're doing. You're engaging in sexual deviancy or sexual degeneracy, and you're finding social categorizations to make it morally standing. And that is something that we do need to rise up above, because as our society continues to allow that kind of behavior to persist, we won't be able to tell the difference between what truly is good and bad anymore. We'll just accept it all as whatever. It's just here. So let's just accept it all as something that we can either choose to indulge in or not, but there's no line of demarcation in terms of its decency. And I do think that that's a cautionary, I think something like this is a cautionary tale that can inform us on not allowing that kind of behavior to go on. So yeah. I'm with all y'all swingers out there. I'm not a swinger. I don't do the poly stuff. I don't do that alternative stuff. I'm more of a traditionalist, but I also don't think that it's cool for your accepted lifestyle to be co-opted with degeneracy, because it provides legitimacy to the degenerates, and that's what we don't need.
Yeah, man, because the goalposts for what is degenerate,
it's moving.
Been moving. So
right.
It's a wild world we're living in, bro.
Yep. It is. It's moving all the time. But yeah. Good luck to y'all prosecutors defending this dude. You're worth every penny of that retainer that he's paying you.
Yeah, hope those checks are clearing, guys.
For real. Next up, we got the king of the internet trolls, 50 Cent, who, went on to, what was his X or Instagram to comment on Beyonce's apparent lackluster Cowboy Carter ticket sales. I pretty much summed that up correctly, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty much what we got going on.
Mm-hmm.
So 50 Cent, man, 50 Cent is known for two things these days, and both of them are not music. One of them is his incessant internet trolling, which I find to be very entertaining. And the other are his television shows, his murder, death, kill TV shows. I would say those are the two things that 50 Cent is known for these days, more so than anything else, music included. And he indulged in the former, the internet trolling, when it went out that Beyonce is going on her Cowboy Carter tour. The first set of shows is going to be at SoFi Stadium in LA. And apparently there's still tickets available. There's still tickets that you can get. Sales aren't really there at the moment, which is something that is unique, because typically Beyonce shows tickets, they sell out like hotcakes. And so 50 Cent is like, hey man, what's going on? Even Beyonce tickets ain't selling. So this says 50 Cent reacts to reports of low Beyonce ticket sales. Getting real out here. 50 Cent seems surprised by a report saying that tickets are still available for Beyonce's tour in support of Cowboy Carter. As reported by TMZ, Bey's tour is set to kick off in Los Angeles at the SoFi Stadium on Monday, April 28th. but there are about 3,800 tickets still available, with vacant seats costing as much as $331 and as little as $47. 50 Cent saw the news and shared a screenshot of the headline and thumbnail, offering his thoughts on the low ticket sales at Beyonce's LA shows. So you see Beyonce, you see 50 Cent's comment right there. Shit getting real out here. Hey, the tickets ain't selling. According to USA Today, ticket experts predict that prices will continue to fluctuate as each show approaches. The tour in support of Cowboy Carter will see B perform at several huge stadiums across North America and Europe, starting with 5 shows at the SoFi Stadium. Other venues include Soldier Field in Chicago, MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, and Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. B recently shared a cinematic teaser for the tour on Instagram, so I'm not going to play that. That offers us nothing here. So yeah, there's 50 right there. Now, to be clear, 50 was not directly trolling Beyonce. He was just sort of trolling the report that the ticket sales aren't coming in. So again, that is now again, today's the 29th, so we don't know what the sales look like as of when the show officially kicked off. But at the time of the publication of this story, 3,800 tickets were still available, and the range was $331 to $47. So, what do you think about 50 Cent trolling this news that the ticket sales aren't there for the Queen herself?
I mean, I agree with his statement. Of course, he's not going to come in and wax poetic. He's just going to say it the way that, how we all are thinking. And yeah, man, it's getting real out here. I saw some stuff out there when they first announced this tour about how expensive these prices for some of these things were. But, $331 to $47, that sounds reasonable compared to those prices I heard before. Because I heard $1,500 plus and all kinds of crazy prices for these tickets. So yeah, man, I'm not surprised people ain't got it. I think it's a combination of the content that she's doing and the bad publicity that those tickets, the amount the tickets were. Because when they first announced those tickets, man, that's all I saw, from the Beehive, at least, going up down my timeline about how grossly expensive those tickets were. And, it was like, oh, they're blaming Ticketmaster, they're blaming this, they're blaming that. It was all kinds of things, blaming Beyonce herself, so it got real bad press when the tour was announced. So I wouldn't be surprised if, some of her fans were just like, look, it's not worth it. I'm not going to go see these songs or this type of thing, even though I may have seen her 3 or 4 times by now. I would have went, but nah, not right now. So honestly, no pun intended, I think it's a concert of reasons why, she's not selling out. And but the main reason, man, honestly, bro, I think it's economic. I think we're really in a situation now where even the Beehive is not willing to fork over money to see, their empress dance on stage. So yeah, man, I think it's the signs of the times, man. I think that at any other juncture of society, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, prices be damn. Cowboy Carter be damn. They were gonna go see her, but not right now. Not the way gas plus grocery, bro. This past weekend, bro, I just had to retool for the house. I've been putting it off, bro. I don't think I should have did that. I don't think I should have did. I think I should have just been buying in increments. It probably wouldn't hurt as bad. But I had to buy stuff for the house again, man. And I'm sitting there looking crazy when she's like, okay, this is blah, blah, blah. I'm like, ain't no way. But hey, bro, that's how I go. So if you're trying to look out for yourself, God forbid, you out here trying to look out for a family, Man, there ain't no time. You know, you got little knuckleheads running around, and you gotta, get them ready for this and this and that, and pay for this and this and that. Summer coming up, you gonna have to pay for some. People ain't got it. So yeah, man. Wild stuff here. But I don't think. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I don't think 50 was kicking her while she down type thing. It's just like, hey, man, what chance does anybody else stand? If Beyonce can't sell out a show. Now, granted, these are large stadiums, but I mean, she would do that at a drop of a dime.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts, man, on Beyonce not really selling out, at least perceivably, her shows? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go anti Beyonce here. I think this is economics.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is strictly economics. Discretionary income is hard to come by these days. The cost of goods and services, we know this. We already know this. The cost of goods and services is no longer, and it hasn't been for a long time, commensurate with the scaling of wages and incomes and salaries. It does not scale juxtaposed to the cost of living. It just doesn't. People are not earning the money at a rate that can keep up with the rise in the cost of goods and services. I was doing it's funny too. I was talking about this with my cousin over the weekend. He and I and his lady, we were hanging out together, and he's a smart guy, and he's in business for himself. And he was just talking about how the pendulum of being middle class has swung drastically. And now you can be making over $100,000 a year, and depending on your location, still be considered a middle class person as a single earner. Like if you're in California, for example, you can be making six figures plus and you're still considered middle class. Now, that was news to me. I didn't know that, but that's where we've gotten, where you can be a single earner making six figures and you're still in the bracket of middle class. I was just randomly looking up some numbers here, and the average monthly expenses for a single consumer unit in 2023 were $6,440 with annual spending of $77,280. Now that's an average. It doesn't take into account location or anything like that. But imagine being somebody who's on the high end of that, where you are making about $80K a year. Of course, you're still considered middle class, but you're making $80K a year. And if you're in California, for example, you're on the low end, or maybe you're somewhere in the middle of the middle class tier. And you're not necessarily keeping up well enough with the cost of goods and services. Average cost of living in the U.S. is estimated to be between $2,500 and $3,500 a month. That is a hefty amount of someone's income being allocated towards living. And after you've done that, there's just not much left for discretionary income for fun stuff like going to shows. So I just kind of feel like this is economics at its finest. The middle class, I firmly believe, no longer exists. I've said that before. I think that there are, for various environmental factors, and I'm not trying to make this an economics discussion, but due to various environmental factors, there has been a situation has been created in which there's a pressure chamber of income, and you're either on one side of the Grand Canyon or you're not. And if you're in the middle of it, you're obviously falling into the canyon and dying, is my point. But you're either on the poor side where you have no discretionary income whatsoever, or you're on the have side where you have way too much discretionary income and not enough time to spend it. There is no middle ground anymore. And I would say for the vast majority of America's population is consumers, people who buy, people who are a part of the middle class. They earn money almost immediately to spend it. They don't necessarily have money to squirrel away. The vast majority of Beyonce fans, therefore, especially people who would pay to go to shows, fit into that middle class bucket. Yet when they lack the discretionary income to buy tickets to go, you have what amounts to 3,800 tickets still being available. So I kind of feel like this is just another lens through which to view modern economics and how it is playing out in real time with people's disposable income being almost entirely eradicated. And that's especially if you're a single earning person. Now things can get a bit easier when you got dependents and you got a spouse or somebody to split expenses with. But good luck in this day and age being a single earner with no dependents on a single income with no one to split expenses with, no spouse, no one whom you're cohabitating with. You must be making 150K plus per year, or just debt free entirely. If you have enough disposable income to spend on leisurely activities like concerts or expensive hobbies. So yeah, I just feel like this is economics, and people really do need to buckle down and focus on how to make themselves debt free and position themselves to be able to make passive income via ways that are market proof. And if you're not doing that and you're just relying on your paycheck every 2 weeks or every 15 days, you're probably one of those people who can no longer afford to go to a Beyonce show, a sporting event, or anything else that you used to be able to do for fun.
Yeah, man. And so it'll be interesting to see how, over time, because NFL tickets are expensive.
It's
bro.
outrageous. It is even for nosebleeds, bro. It is unreason. It's just out. It's out of control at this point. It's
Bro, I
crazy.
try to go. I'm down at a visit. I'm trying to go to a Dolphin game. The prices was like hell no. Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? I said, ain't no way. Why so much? So yeah, man. I can't even go to NFL games. I mean, I can, but why would I spend that much for 3 hours? Like that concept, I don't care about the experience. Kick rocks with that. So it's going to get to the point where and some stadiums already experienced it. Granted, these teams suck, and the tickets were dirt cheap, but it can't even pull people in. Like the Carolina Panthers, like they was having disgusting attendance. Jaguars was having disgusting attendance at times. So it'll be real interesting to start seeing sporting events. Will tickets decline with those. But I think stuff like that is going to be on the way, man. To be honest, because man, people can't really afford it. And I heard, last thing I say is, I heard that people was already, and this was like 2-3 years ago, that people was just basically living off credit cards. People just living off credit. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know how long back you can run that game, before you actually have to actually start making some money. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know when people still catch flights, people still travel like the boogeyman ain't around the corner. So at some point it's gonna bite people. So yeah, man, not surprised that we're seeing warning signs of this. You know what I'm saying? This is like you at the beach, man, and the birds is all flying in one direction and the wind's blowing. You go, hey man, what's going on? The tide is starting to recede. You're getting all the warning signs, and this is part of the warning signs. I would not take this lightly, although it's just a little blurb in the thing. But I think this speaks to a greater thing that's happening. So I wouldn't take this lightly, and I think that these are signs of the oncoming times that we're going to be experiencing.
Yeah, I agree. Me and Danielle, friend of mine, we talk a lot about this stuff. Is she's in real estate. She supplements her income doing real estate. She says the average person, and by average person, I'm grouping everyone who falls into what used to comprise the middle class. Because again, I don't think that there is a such thing as middle class anymore. But the average person who's in that bucket could not comfortably afford a $500 emergency in today's economy. Meaning if your car broke down, if there was something that came up, a medical emergency, something in the amount of $500, it will be a struggle to come up with the resources to be able to cover that. And I do think that that's most working class people. Again, now if you're someone who's on the other side of that and you did well and you manage money well and you're in business and you're doing well and you're successful, kudos to you. But there is an entire swath of people, more than 70%, who live paycheck to paycheck, who work for a living, and those individuals couldn't afford a $500 emergency. So if you can't afford a $500 emergency, I couldn't imagine in what world you could just comfortably indulge in leisurely activities like going to concerts, never mind going to sporting events. That's even more of a luxury at this point. And like you said, especially NFL games. But yeah, economic times are definitely very interesting to observe these days. And yeah, I don't really think that this is a referendum on, as much as I would love to make fun of Beyonce fans or Beyonce herself. I honestly can't do that in this instant. I kind of feel like this is just modern economic times. And I can hear all the detractors on this video who make money saying, well, you just need to do better. You're broke. Right? I can hear people like that with that kind of mentality and thought process. Well, just make more money, do better, make more money. But listen, folks, for some people, it's easier said than done. All right. And if it was that simple, there wouldn't be this huge swath of working class people in this country. Yet there continues to be for a reason. So people ain't got it, like you said. And this isn't a Beyonce thing. This is an economics thing. People just can no longer afford this stuff. Things like sporting events, music shows, concerts, joining clubs, you know what I'm saying? Like, being a part of a country club, golfing, yacht clubs, boat clubs where you can go fishing. These sorts of leisurely activities like these are becoming more and more of a luxury and less of a nice hobby that if you have a little spending money on the side saved up, you can get involved in. Now it's more of a luxury. It's a straight up luxury. And if you're affluent enough, you can do it. And if you're not, it's all about trying to figure out how you can get there.
Yeah, hey, 1,000, man. But yeah, man. Shouts out to I don't know who to shout out for this one, man. I guess the Beehive, man. Y'all get a pass. Y'all get a pass on this one, man. It's hard times, as 50 said, man. So y'all get a pass on this one. I'll let y'all slide.
Yeah, hey, let us know in the comments, man. Are we just a couple of brokies talking about economics and income, or is what we're saying legitimate? And you're gonna start seeing more of this, where people just simply can no longer afford to do things like go to a Cowboy Carter show. Let us know what y'all think in the comments, man. We'll be interested to see what y'all have to say.
1,000.
Yeah, shouts out to the Beehive. No lashes for y'all today.
Yeah, just this one time.
Oh boy. Yeah, I can't wait for this. So we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it. Brittany Renner, friend of the channel, Brittany Renner, underwent a religious conversion circa August 2024. This is when this is alleged to have taken place. Known industry slore, wrote a book about the many men that she slept with in the hip hop and professional sports industries. The name of the book is called Judge This Cover. Known for her rants, basically being an Amber Rose adjacent, trying to create a world in which being a whore is cool and fashionable. I don't think I'm saying anything that is not factual thus far.
No, I think these are all facts. So.
And just being the provocateur that she is, claimed that her body count was only 35, I think she said.
Oh, yeah.
I think she said her body count was 35. And some of them were one night stands or whatever, and so she doesn't even acknowledge some of that 35, whatever. But she underwent a religious conversion. She converted to Islam back in August of 2024, and since then she has been inviting people along her spiritual journey, getting into her celibacy and abstaining from sex and all of this other stuff, and how much she looks forward to what life has in store for her now that she's a part of this new chapter in her life. In doing so, she is now apparently linked with Kevin Gates, a known rapper who himself is Muslim. He has been for some time now. He is also legally married, I believe. Somebody fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. But you know, we got Kevin Gates and Brittany Renner who are together, and people are kind of taking opportunities to poke holes in this. I think all of us collectively don't really know how legitimate this is, how sincere her conversion is. We don't know how much of it is legitimate versus how much of it is a grift. She's definitely making a concerted effort to convince everyone that it is legitimate and not a grift. But yeah, she's with Kevin Gates. And if you are familiar with Kevin Gates' music, kind of flies in the face of all the stuff that she proclaimed she wanted to move away from by converting to Islam. So anyone who does not know about Kevin Gates' music, get on your Spotify and just listen to a few of his albums. I guarantee you will gain a better understanding of why I would say such a thing. But Brittany Renner's past comments are what's come to light here, in lieu of the fact that she is now with Kevin Gates. She once went on to live to talk about how she wouldn't date a Muslim man because she doesn't want to be one of several. But now she's with Kevin Gates, who is Muslim. So people are like, okay, well, which is which? So this says Brittany Renner's old comments about Muslim men come back to bite her amid Kevin Gates' relationship. Brittany Renner has typically not been a social media figure who's viewed positively, whether it be for her antics or comments online. Most have a hard time siding with her. That's the case right now, thanks to an old clip of hers that's causing her to face severe backlash. Obtained by the Shade Room, it's a video that she uploaded this February regarding her stance on why she won't date men who practice Islam. Renner converted to the Middle Eastern religion sometime in August 2024. In the clip, she tells her followers that she's been avoiding dating, especially with fellow Muslims, due to their tendency to have multiple women. However, now that the entrepreneur and model is rumored to be dating Louisiana rapper Kevin Gates, she's being labeled a hypocrite. He's been practicing Islam for several years now, with him reportedly starting to in 2016. So here is Brittany Renner talking about why she wouldn't date a Muslim. So we'll let her speak for herself.
I have not been on a date since I've been Muslim. Now, there have been plenty of married Muslim men in my DMs, and just because it's permissible does not mean I have to sign up for it. I didn't come this far to be one of several, so let's be very crystal clear on that. When you go without sex for an extended amount of time and you are honoring yourself in a way that you never have before, you really start to see where people are leaking their energy, where they lack discipline. And there's nothing more unattractive than someone who lacks discipline. I like my men disciplined and a little militant. So when you don't choose you, there can never be an us. A lot of men think I need more of something to feel more. Baby, you need to go deeper. The only thing that can quench lust is love.
What? What is that?
The only thing that can quench lust is love.
See, when you get philosophies from 304,
please understand that. And if you have so much love to give and you ain't got no one to give it to right now, give it to yourself.
Lord have mercy.
I don't know about you, but that sounded to me like an admission of masturbation more than anything else. So a couple of people, of course, are critiquing this. She's a content creator in a role that's it. One Shade Room commenter proposes. Not a single person believed her, including Brittany Renner. Another adds, one more writes, I don't know who annoys me more, her the performative Muslim or Krishan and her performative Christianity. Of course, others were pointing to the fact that Gates is a married man and has been for at least a decade. Sure, things have not been going as swimmingly as they used to, but at the end of the day, the internet still doesn't understand Brittany Renner's logic. So Allah sent you Kevin Gates, girl. Ain't no way she's serious. Another goes. Girl, you're dating Kevin. You're not going to be the only one ever. So there you go. The speculating began with these two just about a month ago after a shocking appearance together on DDG, of all people, streamed. From there, some other instances suggesting they were an item began to surface, such as them holding hands and attending a Lakers game together amid the MC's issues with LeBron James and his wife Savannah. So, do you think that the internet is justified in pointing out her hypocrisy, given her apparent decision to be with Kevin Gates?
Now, before the internet starts to call me a simp and a beta, I would like to tell the internet to take a pause, take a step back. And honestly, I think that she has gotten stronger in her faith. If that's how they get down over there. See, now she came in. Yeah, she came in guns blazing, still in her secular mind, just wanting one, just wanting a man to just have one woman. But the deeper that she's gotten to her faith, she realized that it actually makes sense for her to share. So I would say that she's not being a hypocrite. I think that she may have actually grown in her faith. All right, she may have actually grown in her faith here, and she's actually seen the light and realized that, hey, me carrying my feminist ways is actually going to box me out. I should actually be a little bit more open and not block off a blessing. Now, with that being said, however, okay, you're around here, and I agree with the people in the comment section. You're, of all people, you want to pick grocery eating Kevin Gates. We all know what's going on there. This guy here is an infamous grocery eater. He has all kinds of explicit lyrics, and we've seen him just carry himself on a normal basis. This guy is freaked out. So it's hard to believe that she's not around here getting clapped up by Kevin Gates, you know. So I don't know if she's still on her celibacy train. She gave that up, you know, who knows with that. But yeah, she does come across hypocritical when it comes to that, because she was coming off as if she was saving it for marriage and all these other things, and she's not for the streets anymore. Well, this looks streetish. I don't think that this is going to end up in marriage, or you're going to be a part of his harem willingly. This looks like this just looks like typical Brittany Renner street behavior, but she can get away with it because it's with a Muslim freak. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Okay. Nice try, Miss Renner, but I would say that it is just typical Renner behavior. But what are your thoughts, man, on the internet calling out Brittany for going back on her word and splacking it up with Kevin Gates? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think if she were dating like a more private, inconspicuous, businessman who was a Muslim, might be a bit of a different reaction. But she is with Kevin Gates, someone whose sexually explicit content borders on extreme. If you listen to it, trust me. So that's the thing that kind of has people thrown off. I don't even think it's, people are calling out her apparent hypocrisy in light of those comments that she made from the clip that we played. But I really think what has people rolling their eyes is who it is she's with.
It's Kevin Gates.
Yeah, it's the Kevin Gates factor. Yeah, as you said, known grocery eater, the guy who talks about smashing chicks in department fitting room stores.
Right.
Yeah, who talks about smashing chicks in the fitting room of department stores and spitting in their mouth and doing all sorts of explicit things. And this is who you choose to, as Jay-Z said on Blueprint 2, and this is with whom you all place your faith. That is what has people rolling their eyes at this. But outside of the apparent hypocrisy, look, man, and listen, this is not to downplay people who experience like an epiphany and are compelled to sort of embrace a particular faith because they feel as though that's the path that they want to take in life. Many people have done it before. Many people will do it in the future. So I don't want to minimize that. I don't want to minimize that because that is legitimate. But I also feel like within the parameters of people who do that, you still find people to whom you can look at and say, yeah, they might have made that decision, but to a certain extent, a tiger's stripes don't change. And I kind of feel like because she's with yet another rapper, a high-profile industry dude, it suggests to me that despite her rhetoric, her stripes ain't changing. She's still the same old tiger. If there's anyone who understands what it means to be with a guy who she has to share with other women, it's a woman who has been with industry men. She in her previous life was a known industry slower, and she's proud about it. She was proud about it. She wrote a book about it. She jumped around from one man to the next, Colin Kaepernick, Lil Uzi Vert, and she wrote about it. So whether it's a rapper or a professional athlete, I would challenge anyone to come up with a profile of a man who's more likely to keep multiple women around than a rapper and a professional athlete. Is there any profile of a man who's more likely to keep multiple women around than that in America, in westernized society? I can't think of one. Rappers and NBA players and NFL players. If you're truly in pursuit of monogamy and commitment, going the rapper professional athlete route is not the way to obtain it. It just isn't. So if you continuously pursue that route, it tells me that though you pay lip service to that being what your ultimate goal is, you really don't care about it that much. It isn't really your main priority, because if it were, you'd realize that's not how you're going to get it and you try something different. But she lived this life out for a long time and parlayed it into being an influencer for a career, and then became an author and wrote a book about it, exposing it. So something tells me that though she talks about these things, faithfulness, I don't believe personally, is very high on her priority list. And though she underwent this religious conversion on a baseline elementary level, I believe she has not exercised that out of her system. And she don't really care. She don't care. And so oddly enough, her previous life, as you put it, has somewhat best positioned her to a life like this because she's already used to it. She knows what it's like. She actually does not know what it's like to be with a guy who at least puts effort into monogamy, because you're not getting that from rappers and you're not getting that from NFL players and NBA players. Yet those were the men whom she dated exclusively. So now that she puts on the burqa, I'm supposed to believe that she's completely reversed ship on that and done a 180. I'm not buying it. So I was actually not surprised that she's with Kevin Gates. That's pretty much on brand with her.
It's on par.
It's on brand with her. And it's on brand for a lot of these chicks who holler about what they want when they really don't want it. You got a lot of people out here being dishonest. And women do this thing. They play this game. And at this point, I'm blue in the face with talking about this, but here we go again, because this provides us with yet another case study of this stuff. And there are way too many females in the world who say, I want monogamy and I want commitment. I don't want a guy who's with all these other women. I want, loyalty is another buzzword that gets thrown around a lot, right? They say they want all of these things, yet they cannot get out of their own way. And they continuously pursue men who, from a profile standpoint, are going to give them the exact opposite of the stuff that they claim they want. So at the end of the day, I cannot believe anything other than you don't actually want that. You just romanticize over the idea. It's nice to say, yeah, this is what I want, but in practicality, you don't really care about that. You don't. And she doesn't. So yeah, I hear the internet calling her out for hypocrisy, but I kind of feel like she's being consistent with who she is.
Exactly.
Yeah, it just so happens that converting to Islam gave her sort of a religious infrastructure to be able to kind of live in that energy somewhat guilt-free. Because now she's not really being cheated on, because that's something that Muslim men do. So she can accept it now because she's in that particular ecosystem where it's just kind of the standard operating procedure. So yeah, I mean, I was never buying her to begin with, from this standpoint at least. Again, man, I'm not trying to minimize people who decide that they want to walk a different path and do things a different way. I don't want to minimize that. I take that seriously, and I commend people who do that. But I just don't see how you can make that decision and then turn around and start dating a sexually explicit ratchet rapper. I don't understand that. If someone can explain that to me, I'm all ears. But until someone can make sense of that, I'm not buying any of that. But I think this is on brand for her.
Yeah, man. So she's doing her job as being an internet grifter, being an influencer or whatever that means. But she has it down. She models Muslim gear. She's an influencer for that. She's going to be on Housewives. She's sitting courtside with rappers. What you thought? You thought Allah was going to stop her? No way, no how. She's for the streets, and even her religion can't stop her. So yeah, man, wild business. But Brittany always providing a great laughs. I no longer get. It's not like I really got upset about it, but irritated, I would say, because of the dangerous rhetoric. But at this point, man, if anybody takes her legitimately, I that's on you. To me, she's crossed over into the Umar Johnson. They're just internet personalities and nothing else. Everything that they say to me now comes off as a joke, as humorous. It's no different than an SNL skit. These people are living, walking SNL skits to me. So whenever she does something like this, I do nothing but get a great laugh out of it. You would hope that she actually took the religion seriously, is taking it seriously or whatever, but I reserve that on the back burner. But initially, whenever she does these things, I'm not going to say, well, what about your religion, Brittany? I thought you... Hey, man, it is what it is. If you don't take it seriously, I damn sure won't.
Right.
So, but keep providing a great laughs, Brittany. Kevin Gates, hey, bro, live your life, bro. Live your life, bro. This guy, he's a wild human himself. He always gives me the laughs as well. So I feel like they belong with each other in more ways than one.
Yeah, two peas in a pod. Yeah. And when I say, just to kind of take it back to the comment that I made, she can accept being one of several women because this is what Muslim men do, and she's a Muslim woman. I'm only saying that reacting to comments that she made. She's the one who said, I wouldn't consider dating a Muslim man because I don't want to be one of several. So she said that. I'm just responding to that. I don't really think she cares about that. And I think women with her kind of mentality also don't care about that. And we've seen countless examples of this. These women don't really care about, I don't want to say they don't really care about like loyalty and monogamy and all of that stuff. They do, but what they do is they compare costs and benefits, right? They do a comparison analysis and they say, is what I'm receiving in return via being with this guy worth the price to pay of me sacrificing monogamy and commitment? If they determine that it's worth the price to pay, suddenly all of that monogamy stuff goes out the window and they don't care. But if they determine that it's not worth it because maybe that guy can't give them what they would need in return to sacrifice all that, then they'll of course plant their flag in the sand and say, no, this is a deal breaker for me. I need you to be loyal and be committed to me exclusively. It's a game. It's a game that they play in a lot of cases, and it's a fluid situation. They're never really 10 toes down on that. It's always an oscillation of benefits and drawbacks. The perceived benefit determines how much they really care about monogamy.
Yes.
For women like her. Now, there are some who are 10 toes down. And they'll say, I don't care how much money you got or what kind of lifestyle that you can give me. I can't personally deal with being with a man who keeps multiple women. And they'll stick to it. But chicks like her, they don't really care. They oscillate back and forth, and they're weighing the benefit juxtaposed to what they may have to sacrifice. If the benefit is enough, the sacrifice is worth it. If the benefit is not enough, all of a sudden they're going to care about it. So that's where I raise my eye. That's where I roll my eyes, and it becomes a complete joke to me. And that's when they start peddling their speech publicly, and it does become dangerous rhetoric where I'll unmute and say, hey, listen, people like this should not be listened to. So she's an agent of that kind of dangerous stuff getting thrown around. And so I feel you on that, but I never believed that she was about it to begin with. I never did. I think she was groomed to be a woman who has to share her man. And I think she'll continue to live in that energy into perpetuity.
Yeah, man. So keep clapping it up, Brittany. Keep clapping it up. Shout out to Kevin Gates, man. You're a wild boy, bro. And but hey, what you guys think down in the comment section, guys? Do you guys feel as though that Brittany was actually being a hypocrite, or do you guys feel as though she grew in her faith a little? All right. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or do you feel like she's been doing this whole Muslim act as a grift? Let us know down in the comment section, guys. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, we would. You think Dogon being a simp?
Yeah, man. You think I'm simping over here? You think I'm white knighting? Oh man,
white knighting. And last but not least, we're going to have some fun talking about this Minecraft movie. So you brought this to my attention, and I didn't even know this was a thing. Forwarded me this video on TikTok of people just going absolutely hammer in the movie theater at a particular scene during the Minecraft movie. And now theaters are going to start hosting block parties for fans of this movie, I guess, so that they can engage in all of these shenanigans in mass as large groups in movie theaters when it comes to the Minecraft movie. So yeah, this is a meme that's sort of playing out across the internet and social media now, where there's one particular scene during the movie where people just go nuts, sitting on people's shoulders, throwing popcorn all over the place. Some movie theaters have had to like say, hey man, we'll call the cops on your ass if y'all keep doing this. It's just getting out of hand, man. This is sort of viral content that's getting out of hands and associated with this movie. And so they want to have block parties at screenings for this movie. And if your goal is to stop this from happening, I don't think a block party is going to achieve that.
No.
But this says a Minecraft movie sets immersive sing-along and meme-along block party screenings. If you love Chicken Jockey or enjoyed yelling, I am Steve while watching a Minecraft movie, then get ready because Warner Brothers Pictures is inviting fans to experience the blockbuster in a new way. On May 2nd, showings of the movie will be showing across North America, and fans are being invited to get fully interactive. Audiences will have the opportunity to flex their voices by singing or memeing along with their favorite moments from the movie. According to Warner Brothers Picture, a Minecraft movie Block Party Edition is made for those who yearn for the mines. So get ready to re-enter the overworld this weekend.
Wow.
A Minecraft movie set a box office record when it opened around the world to $313 million, marking the highest debut yet for a video game movie adaptation. Starring Jack Black, Jason Momoa, Danielle Brooks, Emma Myers, and Sebastian Hansen. The movie is based on the popular video game of the same name from Mojang Studios. When the film opened, the film sparked a viral trend among young moviegoers in which they scream and throw popcorn during pivotal moments of the movie, including Jack Black proclaiming "I am Steve" and yelling "Chicken Jockey." Movie theaters responded by issuing warnings against unruly behavior and in some cases notifying the police. In response to those viral screenings, director Jess Hess said, "It's funny because I think it's just literally cheering and throwing popcorn, which is so funny to me that cops are getting called for popcorn. Yeah, it's hilarious. I've seen so many funny videos. It's great, especially when people are climbing on their friends' shoulders and standing up and cheering for those moments. It's like this crazy anticipation. But man, I'm just glad people are making memories with their friends and families." Tickets are on sale now in select theaters for a Minecraft movie Block Party Edition. So we got a little video clip of this. We got a little video clip of this madness playing out. Let me go ahead and play this so that you can get a general idea for anybody, for the uninitiated out there who is unaware of what's going on with this. Let's go ahead and play this so you can see just how wild it gets whenever Mr. Jack Black screams "Chicken Jockey" and "I am Steve."
Why?
This is wild, bro. Like, how you set off fireworks in a building, bro?
That's so crazy.
This guy actually brought an actual chicken inside the damn movie.
That is wild, bro. They setting off fireworks in movie theaters. Like, what if that hit somebody in the face?
I'm getting that, bro.
I don't. Yeah. So, and they're gonna host a block party for this movie, man. So, what do you think about that?
I think I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen. You know, this is unprecedented. So what's going on is that the Minecrafters are adults now. And they grew up in a particular way. And it's showing at these movie showings. I mean, I thought Aventura would get unruly back in the day, bruh. But that was just us making jokes and saying, you know, this and this and that. You know, this is next level. So, yeah, they were calling the cops on people because it was throwing popcorn. Some movie theaters just stopped showing the movie. They would just, you know, kick everybody out. But I think what movie theaters realized is that if they play into this, they can make more. They can stand to make more money.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, So them basically saying, hey, y'all can come have a block party here, basically just go hog wild. My new concern is somebody gonna be doing the fireworks stuff. Somebody when you just open the door to lawlessness, at some point, somebody's gonna take it too far. So that's literally anarchy in a movie theater. So by you saying that, hey man, come bring your memeing out with us, I don't think they know what they're asking these young people to do. I think they still think that they're like other generations of people. But yeah, you tell these they were doing this when it was against the rules. So now you're gonna say, hey, there's no holds barred, guys. Bring your live chickens, bring your fireworks, throw your popcorn. Yeah, right. You think that's where they're gonna stop at? So yeah, man, I don't know what's going on. A part of me goes, hey man, it's nice for them to have something for themselves, a young person, a game that you played since you were little. It's a movie out about it. You want to have fun with it. It's one degree. One hand of it is understandable, but the other hand of it is, what the hell are we watching when, there's people that's literally losing their minds, I don't get it. I kind of understand it, but I don't get it overall. And that's the part of me that thinks about, these are our future lawyers, doctors. Yeah. And the answer is no. Because AI is going to be replacing, I'm going to have an AI doctor. I'm not really going to have not these people. So nah, man, they've already got these people replaced. So these kids that grew up on memes, they will stay children into perpetuity. Because I think that showing where that boy was holding the chicken, the actual chicken, I think that, because I saw another video where a guy was like, the college guy. So I think that was like a college guy situation. But, how frat guys and college guys can act. But they're the Minecraft ones. They're the ones that grew up on vines. They're the ones that grew up on everything. And so, yeah, this is what they do. So, yeah, man, brace yourselves, world. They're out here amongst us. But what are your thoughts, man, on the Minecraft, wildness that's going on? And movie theaters basically saying, hey, man, you guys can have a block party. To hell with all that other stuff. Y'all can have a block party in our stuff. What's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think we're growing up with this stuff. Remember when we talked about the woman who was at the Usher show overseas?
Yeah, yes.
The auntie, the geriatric lady.
Yes.
And the overall point that I was making with that was, we're starting to see our generation is the first that was truly out of its mind. All of these women who are for the streets and these cleat chasers, these tour bus chasers who think it's cool. We're just going to age with this stuff. So you're going to start seeing these unmarried, childless women who are embracing their, inner Amber Rose. They're embracing their whoreness, grow older. And so they're going to get older eventually, and they're going to be 60, 70, 80 years old, still being for the streets. And I feel like this kind of behavior, we're also going to age with it, where you expect to see, you expect to see children doing stuff like this. Yeah. But no, we're at a point now, 2025, where memes and viral content and people who've grown up their entire lives with social media, these individuals are becoming adults.
Yeah.
So just because you become an adult doesn't mean that you're going to be rid of all of those sensibilities. It's a part of who you are because it's the generation that you came up in. So it was a part of your immediate social environment. No different than us doing what we did was a part of our immediate social environment. Yeah. So these people are just going to get older, and they're going to be 30, 40, 50-year-old people in the near future who are doing this because they grew up and their environmental stimulus was this kind of stuff, meme-worthy content and being viral, virility. So that's, I mean, we're just watching this stuff progress over time. It is what it is. My first thought when it came to this, honestly, and this is the laborer in me. This is
Oh yeah. Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go
this
ahead.
this is the laborer in me. This is the
Yeah.
person who worked in food service for 10 years.
Yeah.
There's people who have to go in there and clean that stuff
Yes.
up.
Yes, bro.
And that's the part that pisses me off with it.
Yeah.
Like, look,
100%.
y'all want to be all cool and viral. Y'all want videos to go viral on TikTok so that you can get your followers and your internet clout and your attention-seeking behavior. Y'all want to get your dopamine attention-seeking high by doing stuff like this. Okay, whatever. But some human being is going to have to come in there after all of y'all have left to clean up after you. And that is regrettable to me.
It is.
Because it's bad enough that people have to go into these dirty, dingy, smelly movie theaters and clean up after normal crowds who do normal things like leave popcorn bags and packets of ketchup and nacho cheese on the floor.
Yes.
But now we've got situations where people have to pick up firework stems, chicken poop.
Yeah, bro. Like seriously,
You know,
bro.
like what are we doing here? Like colossal amounts of popcorn because you know they wasn't eating that popcorn. They bought them big ass bags of popcorn to throw everywhere. So people are gonna have to go in and clean this stuff up, man. And like, where is your accordance for human decency? Like, where does something in your brain kick in to say, maybe I need to keep this to a minimum because someone has to come in here and clean this stuff up?
And that's kind of like my thing about it. That's like, okay, I get it, but then the other part about it is like, you're in a public space.
There is no more respect for people in public. I've told you this, bro. Like the human emotion of having respect for other humans in public spaces is gone. It's gone because of instant gratification. Everyone is so hyper obsessed with themselves, they don't consider how their actions and behaviors in public spaces affect the next person. And we've been conditioned to be hyper obsessed with ourselves because of the internet. You can control the access and the pipeline of information that you consume. And so when you have that kind of level of control, you also think that you have that kind of level of control in real life. So it's like, I don't need to return anything to where it belongs. I don't need to throw trash away. I don't need to consider any of these things. I can do whatever I want. Because you know what you can do? You know when else you can do whatever you want? When you're on your phone. No one can police you when you're on your phone. No one can police you when you're scrolling through your feed. No one can police you when you're subscribing to this, following to this, commenting on this. This stuff isn't policed. It's entirely deregulated. Mm-hmm. So when you have that ultimate level of control, I would say 18 hours out of the day while you're awake, why wouldn't you believe that you also have that level of control in real life, in public spaces? It's a wild world, bro. It's a wild world. But this desensitization towards the notion of narcissistic behavior is contributing to now we don't even care how we're affecting people in public spaces. So people are going to have to come in and clean this stuff up because no one in there bothered to care about the fact that I'm adversely impacting someone who has to come in here and clean this garbage up. And that's the part of it that perturbs me more than anything else. Because I've already accepted the rest of this stuff. I can't stop it. Mm-hmm. So I've already accepted the perversive nature in which this is continuing to progress. I can't stop that, but man, we got to have some more respect and human decency accorded to other humans in public spaces. If we don't have that, we don't got nothing. And I feel like at this point, we don't have it anymore. Because the first thing that would come to my mind if I was in there was, damn, someone's going to have to come in here and clean this stuff up. And it's wild because not only it's bad enough when a person says, I don't care. Mm-hmm. I don't even think people were saying, I don't care. I genuinely believe that thought did not occur to
No,
them.
it didn't. No, it
It
didn't. They
didn't.
were so busy on the turn up
Yeah,
that they didn't care about the actual people that worked there.
right. So it's already bad enough when you say, "Yeah, I thought about that. I just don't give a damn." But this is taking this this is taking it a step further because the thought now isn't even occurring to you. You're just hyper obsessed with how you're going to get your dopamine attention seeking rocks off. So, hey man, good luck. Look, the good news to everybody out there working in movie theaters is give it about 5 to 10 years, all of your jobs are going to be replaced by robotics anyway.
Yeah, I guess that's a bright side.
So y'all ain't gonna have to worry about having to clean up behind these nasty ass people anymore anyway, because your jobs are going to be replaced by robots and AI no matter what. So you're not even going to have to deal with this within the next 5 to 10 years. So I suppose that's a bit of a silver lining. But overall, this to me is not a good look. It's not a good look for
And we're going to
humanity,
see
in
more
my
of
opinion.
this from other things now.
Yeah,
And I think this is setting a new standard and a new precedent. And I won't be surprised if movie studios, movie theaters are taking notes from this and are going to try to replicate this level of virility with their own content, so they can have their own niche type of audience that come in and go viral and for their movies,
yeah,
especially kids movies. So this might, because I'm pretty sure the movie industry, when it comes to, movie theaters, is a dying type of market. So they don't care that people don't care that they got reclining seats. Because I started going recently, and I was like, wow, y'all got fully reclinable seats now. Like, y'all don't play it. Like, okay, yeah, y'all still doing it, but still, F this. So,
yeah,
but if they turn it into an amusement park where you can come turn up, and it's more of a, you come turn up with everybody else, because I guess that was our old boomer ass, just laughing and enjoying the movie and laughing at the same time. Ha 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 ha.
yeah,
See, everybody else thought that was funny. We all laughed together. Ha 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 ha.
yeah, yeah.
That's our boomer ass. So I guess these young people are a little bit more interactive, and they want to, high five each other when somebody says something, or who knows. So I think that honestly, them venturing off and saying, let's have a block party is step one of these movie theaters are actually probably going to try to monetize wilding out while watching a movie, and basically setting it up like a panic room or one of those break glass rooms, or whatever they call those, so you can get your frustrations out. They're just probably going to set it up like that, cover the screen with a little bit more whatever, blanket the seats a little different, and just have the people go crazy while the movie's playing. And they might make more money and charge a little more for the block party screening. So I get it, man. Money making money. I get it. These people were doing it anyway. Might as well try to monetize it. But I agree with you, bro. Overall, the premise of me looking at this was like, what are they really doing? And I was like, man, when I saw that first clip and I saw all the popcorn on the floor, I was like, well, who has to clean that up? Look at our boomer ass. Get off our lawn.
Yeah.
Oh, who has to clean that up, man?
Right.
Hey, man, it is what it is. Dog.
Yeah, I guess we being old crusty complaining, whining people, because we are thinking about people who have to go in there and clean all of that up.
Yeah, man, live a little, you old farts, right?
yeah. Our thing was just laughing and clapping along with the movie. Yeah, and like as I think back on that was disruptive to people who were in the theater, right? So that was our version of not being considerate of others in public spaces. But this to me is just far more pervasive. Because it's disruptive to people who just like there. I would imagine that there are people who went in there just to watch the movie and chill.
Yeah, they brought their 9-year-old. Yeah, and hey, man, this is going to be regular, and now these people letting off fireworks.
Right, exactly. So it's a double whammy because it's disruptive to the people who ain't about that life, and then it's also highly inconsiderate and disruptive of the people who have to come in there and clean up after y'all. So. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm old and crusty and get off my lawn. I don't really think it's cool. I think there's a time and place for everything. And I think if the venue wasn't designed for said activity, don't make it that way.
Yeah.
You can get down if there's there's outdoor theaters. There's all they can do stuff like that you can go to and just let off and go hammer. But inside, you're popping off fireworks inside. Like, let a firework hit me.
Yeah.
Let a live firecracker like hit me. Like, we're gonna have some serious problems.
Exactly.
So but whatever. I'm old, I guess.
Yeah,
so
man. You're just thinking too much, man.
yeah, I know. I know. But it is what it is, man. Y'all enjoy your Minecraft block parties. And look, man, to all my laborers out there,
yeah, man,
to all of my hospitality folks and my people in food service, man, I stand in solidarity with y'all.
Yeah.
I did it for 10 years. I feel you. I feel your pain. You are underappreciated. You are underserved, underappreciated, and grossly, sadly, disgustingly underpaid. So good luck to all of the people out there who's gonna have to go in there and clean up after these people. But yeah, folks, that is us. That is JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. That is another edition of the Conscious Approach stream in the books. Major shouts out to everybody who's been tuning along with us. Thank you so much for the support. Make sure, if this is your first time checking out our content, to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the commentary in this or any other video as we continue to rock and roll. And please, like that button, hit that like button, so that we can let the YouTube algorithm know that we are making content that you appreciate, or don't, because you don't appreciate it. Either way, thanks for the view. Thanks for engaging with us. We don't try to cultivate a cult. So even if you don't agree with the things that we have to say, the engagement, we appreciate all the same. You can check me out on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS, and that is Dogon SS, of course. Check out Conscious Approach on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. Again, we are now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Search Conscious Approach on those platforms as well if you want to hear us in audio form and are not in position to check out the videos. Also, we are now on TikTok. Search us out at ConApproach, ConApproach. So follow us on TikTok as well. You can engage with the content and follow along with us on our journey and watch the videos there as well. So as I always like to say, folks, don't be a group thinker. Don't be a conformist. Have a mind of your own. Think for yourself. And until next time, rest in peace to my Miami Heat. Hopefully, what happened to us this year will signal the very much needed death of Heat culture. Heat culture needs to go away. We need to get back to our winning ways. Heat culture was fun for a while, but it's time for us to put it to bed. So yeah, y'all stay 10 toes down out there. Be solid. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
Dang, bro. You had to bring the heat up, bro.
I
forgot about that for like 30 minutes, and then here you go again. It's all good, man. We
gotta lay it to rest, man. We gotta lay it to rest.
Sometimes, bro, it's a circle of life, bro. Sometimes, you gotta bury it, man. So it can be reborn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, shout out to my Heat, man. And Cleveland, y'all ain't had to do us like that, bro. Y'all could have really let your foot off the gas, bro. Like, no need for that. But I digresses. All right. Now, the name's Dogon SS. All right. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, TikTok. Hell, man, if there's a social media platform, Dogon SS is out there, man. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, and all that good stuff from there. All right. Now, as I say on every pod, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it real. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, everybody, we thank you for watching. All right. Consciously leaving a comment, liking the video, subscribing. All right, man. We greatly appreciate you guys. All right. So we'll catch y'all in the next episode. More Rings of Robert Ory. Peace. Yeah.
That's right. Until next time, folks, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching any of our content, any of our videos. We appreciate it more than you can know, and we'll see you later. We are out.
Peace, man. Go Heat still, man.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
Heat.
Oh, yeah.
God
It's
damn
Go
it.
Heat all day, every day for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear my Heat jersey next time. You know what I'm saying?